Hey guys, it's Davey here, and it's currently day 89. Hopefully, you guys had a wonderful weekend and are doing better than yesterday. Now, being Sunday, right, is my self reflection Sunday, and I do hope you guys had self reflected, right? But this week, what I had uncovered, right, is obviously by not working on my business, I created a lot of free time for myself, right? And obviously, it is not good to not work on my business. But what even is worse than that is using that free time and doing things that are more unproductive and more harmful for me, right? Things that are gonna harm my tempo that I had built for myself for the past few months, right? That is inevitably and invariably will be much worse than simply not doing something, right? Because we use that free time, or I use that free time to do things to start more habits that are more destructive for my well-being, right? And I can't say this for everyone, but I do know this for myself, right? Is that eventually when we have too much free time, we become bored, right? And when we become bored, instead of looking for things to do that may improve us because it's hard, right? It's effort, it's not fun. So we start looking for things that will distract us, give us that more pleasure, right? We start doing things to increase and maximize the amount of dopamine we can receive from it, right? However, eventually that gets to a limit, right? We become conditioned, we build a tolerance, and we start looking for that next exciting experience, right? That'll hit our dopamine again, right? And that's what happens when we start partying too hard, drinking too much, hanging out with the wrong people, doing antisocial acts. And this is when we start touching illicit substances and we go down a very dark route. That isn't a life that is enjoyable, right? Although, doing those things may sound on the surface, fun, like, oh, partying, smoking a little bit of pot, all this stuff may sound fun on the surface. But when you touch it, when you start do it, and when it becomes a habit, it will become detrimental. It will put you onto another lifeline. And for me, guys, having too much free time recently, I have been looking for other opportunities, right? I have been dabbling into my old businesses, right? Obviously, nothing major, nothing crazy, just this idea, this desire, this intention that may have formed, right? But nothing like doing it actually yet. So this is obviously bad, guys. We can definitely get bored when we have too much free time. And obviously, I cannot sit here and tell you guys what you should be doing with your life and what you should be doing with your free time. This is your life. This is your journey. You can do it however you like. But one thing I will say is if you have too much free time and you find yourself using that free time unproductively, then make it productive, right? Do things that will make it more productive. If you have distractions, eliminate the distractions. Like I have today, what I found useful is actually installing this site blocking app, right? And it just eliminates all my distractions by blocking the sites. It is available on your laptop, mobile phone, and most cases, the functions that is on the free plan, it is enough to just block the sites you don't need, right? Whether quitting your porn addiction, whether quitting your social media addiction, or whether quitting any other addictions you have, that was ideal for me and I implemented today and it became pretty helpful, right? Because you may think at the moment having a little bit of free time may be incurious to you, right? Maybe you have some time chatting to your friends, maybe you have some time to yourself to think, right? To get that clarity. Now, thinking to yourself is important. It is important to know exactly where you stand every now and often in your life. And this is why I say it is important to have this self reflection time, weekly, monthly, whatever, right? Just to have a little bit of time to yourself to think and to know where you stand, right? I wouldn't have actually uncovered this consciously at a conscious state, knowing that I'm falling back into my old routine without actually being conscious, without having this time to myself to think, right? But we don't need day in and day out to think about this, right? There's only so much to think about in life, right? Eventually, we will think about everything that we need to, and that free time we have left, we are going to look into things that we are not supposed to. We are going to do things that are going to be against our values and principles, right? And when that happens, we can fall into a very bad place. Now, I am not here to tell you how to live your life, but the worst thing and the last thing I want to see anyone go into is someone being at their lowest, someone that needs guidance, someone that is looking for this band-aid solution to all their life problems. Have free time, and instead of looking for things that are gonna cure them, cure this root problem, they look for that quick fix, right? They go down the route of drugs. They go down to the route of partying, right? Very hard, you know, not taking care of themselves. When somebody falls into that route, they may not pick themselves back up, not instantly, and it may take someone years, maybe 5 years or 10 years, to simply just quit or say no to the addictions to certain things, right? Drugs, majorly in this case. People in this world may not be as dedicated, may not be as strongly will minded as you are. You know, some people may really depend on certain things in life, certain habits that feeds them, that heals their hurt, right? And when someone falls into those bad routines, right, it can be almost irreversible for them. And to me, guys, that is the last thing I want to see anyone fall into just because simply they had too much free time on their hands. They become bored and they start looking for things that are going to entertain them in the moment. But they didn't look in the future at how this may affect them. Right? Simply, I didn't look in the future when I did my crime. Right? Obviously, I don't regret anything I had done. I learned plenty of it. But simply what I'm saying is because I've been down that path and it's definitely something you want to get away with, right? I am fortunate enough that I found my light, that I found my purpose, that I found something else that is more meaningful for me to push out of that life, right? A lot of people will constantly fall back into that routine because they haven't seen the other side of reality. They haven't seen this other path in life for them to walk. This is why people coming out of jail and repeating their crime because simply they do not know better. And there are a lot of people like this because they simply have too much free time on their hands. But instead of looking for something that may actually benefit them, they always look for things in the moment that will pleasure them. And to me, guys, that is the worst thing you can do with your free time, with the time that is really your most valuable asset, can be your biggest vulnerability and your biggest burden, right? But that being said, guys, the things I had implemented today to help me stay away from those distractions, help me actually give myself this clarity to actually use my free time more effectively, is first getting these ad blocking sites. Now, any sites work, right? But what was most important to me was actually having this whiteboard installed right in front of me, in front of my desk. So instead of just writing my goals down on a piece of paper, which is what I used to do, and putting that book in my cupboard or drawer, which I may not see until the next time I revisit my goals. This is unproductive and meaningless in so many aspects, right? Before I thought, right, that just writing down your goals is enough to create a goal. Now, that is true. Writing down your goal is one step better than simply just memorizing it in your head, right? Writing down your goal is one step to making your goal into a plan, making your goal into physical action, right? But a written goal is useless unless you remind yourself at that goal daily and constantly. So, what I found to be most effective is actually writing my goals in my whiteboard right in front of me, writing down the due date, the deadline. So, exactly now, every time I get at my work desk, which is every day, I have a clear vision of what I must accomplish by this month or by this week or by this year, right? And that is visible. That is something I can see now. And when I can see it constantly, can I then touch it, right? Can I then actually work towards and accomplish that? Because now I know exactly when that thing must be due. Unless we start seeing what must be done daily, unless we get reminded of doing it daily, then we are less likely to do it. Nobody is going to force you to become this business person, to become an entrepreneur, right? Most people are against this idea. Most people are programmed, right, to do the 9 to 5 job. So there will be little amount of people in the world who encourages you to do what you do. And there will be even a smaller percentile of people who will actually keep you accountable. So just know that this path, this journey, whatever journey you are walking, you are solely responsible for your success or failure. So start taking action and be your biggest cheerleader and be your biggest mentor. Because at the end of the day, nobody can make you become who you want to be. They can only guide you. But the work, the blood and sweat and tears, it is something you have to be willing to put forward and do. So if you cannot even just block some sites, if you cannot even just make your goal more visible, then how do you expect to handle these challenges or even encounter those challenges in the future? Start doing the little things, start making these plans, and start using your free time to make these plans. Because we all have time and we all have free time. But the worst thing we can do is use our free time, our biggest asset, and use it as trash, treat it as something worthless, and spend that time to hurt ourselves and our future. That is the worst thing we can do. But this being said, guys, this has been my Sunday. Hopefully you guys had an amazing weekend, and I do hope you guys had self-reflected. If not, take some time now and do that. But like always, I hopefully you guys learned something from this. But if not, I'll be here tomorrow. So see you guys then. Bye bye.